Welcome, everyone, once again to the Business Freedom Formula. I am your host, John Arntz, and I am pleased to have today as my guest, Preethi. How are you today?
Good. Thank you. Thank you, John, for having me.
You're very welcome. So you're visiting with me from Ontario, Canada, correct?
Yes.
Yep. And for those of you who don't know, I'm in the Southern California area near to Los Angeles. So, Preeti, tell me a little bit about what's going on. For example, what new and exciting is going on in your business right now?
So for me, a little bit about myself. So I'm Preethi Balasubramanian, and I'm a coach, a business coach, a system strategist, and also an author. So who believes that two things, system support and stories that we grew up with, basically shape how we are and who we are today at both work and in life. And through my coaching business, the Wonder EA. So I help solopreneurs and small business owners basically design that calm and sustainable business with the help of right systems and human centric support. So that's what I do. And what's new in my business is so initially I started more off as a consultant, and now I'm kind of more transitioning towards being a coach, and I do have like a 3-month business transformation coaching program that I'm now providing and marketing. And that program basically is so, like I said, on in the first month, it's more of the clarity or the mindset from being a founder doing it all to changing to be the CEO who's designing the business and working on the business and not in the business. And the second month is identifying systems that you need
Mhm.
for running the business successfully. And the third month, we work on identifying support, like the human support that you would need to grow your business.
Mhm. So, in your experience working with business owners, then what what do you think is the hardest part of
I think
working with
for
them?
I think for business owners, the hardest part is that letting go, that sense of
Yeah.
perfection, because when we all start our business, it's just us doing everything, and you're
Mhm.
so used to your way of doing it that you think that's the only right way of doing it, and only you can do it perfectly.
Sure.
And
Sure.
even when it comes to a point where the load is so much, the weight of the business is so much, you do not want to delegate because you think nobody can do it as well as you.
Yeah. That's I would agree with you. I have encountered that myself. Yeah, it's hard to get them to see that. And they
Mm-hmm.
don't, some business owners don't realize that they are the bottleneck to growth.
Yes.
And I know that some people start a business and they don't want to grow it.
Mm-hmm.
They basically started a business to replace a job, if you will, and they're
Mm-hmm.
happy with what they're doing, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't do that and then complain that you never have time off and you never get to go on vacation.
Yes. Yeah, no, because with a lot of businesses, like you said, when you start, everything is in that founder's head, everything's in their head,
Mhm.
and it's their way of working, and they are the admin, they are the marketing, they are the finance
Mhm.
person, and the business development person.
Mhm.
And
Sure.
which then means, yes, you can't take a vacation because if you step away, the business falls apart.
Right, right. Um, yeah, that is so very true. I recall one time reading, I can never remember the author's name, but everybody knows the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Mm-hmm.
I recall there was a scene where, um, I think his first name is David, isn't it? The author. Anyway, he's
Mm-hmm.
with his friend, and he goes to his what he has, later refers to as his rich dad's house, his friend's house. And the gentleman there is talking with two of his managers, business managers, while he's getting ready to go to his job. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that scene is so powerful because what it says is, yes, I have a job I go to, and I have two businesses that I entrust to my managers to run.
Mm-hmm.
So this is an individual who is developing and building while maintaining a steady income.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think it's the same with everybody. I mean, obviously Jeff Bezos can't do everything at Amazon, right?
Yes.
So you have to encourage people to do things. And sure, I agree. No one is going to do something maybe as well as the founder does.
Mm-hmm. No, but I also would say, like, if somebody can do it, say 75% as well as you do it,
Hmm.
maybe you should let them do it. And sometimes over time, they may do it better than you, and you'll be surprised
Right. Right. Just, and if you give them the opportunity to
to
grow,
learn. Yeah, to learn
grow
and
and
learn.
to learn. Um, and I think too, somewhat, um, there might be a little generational thing here as well, because I know, for instance, my daughter-in-law, who does a lot of, she's like a brand ambassador for a clothing line, and some of the stuff she posts is probably very different than if I had a clothing line and was, you know,
Mm,
trying to market to that same audience. I might do something differently, but she has a different perspective being in that age group. And
mm-hmm,
sometimes I think you have to look at that. We have to take off and remember what it was like when we were young and starting out and trying to, start our careers, the ideas and the enthusiasm we had. And not everything is bad just because you didn't think about it, right?
mm-hmm. No, and I think I also agree because I noticed that especially more of the younger entrepreneurs these days, they believe in that balance, or maybe they have grown up seeing that
Right.
balance. They want to take those vacations. They want to be able to do the fun stuff, and they
Right.
still want to be able to do their business. And the younger entrepreneurs are more open and more willing to bring in the systems or bring in the help.
Mm-hmm.
One, because they believe in that balance, and two, I think also they grew up with technology and grew up with systems. So they are
Sure.
more accepting of having systems and things in their businesses too.
Yeah. And I think sometimes people don't really understand that within their organization they have a business, they have a system. They just
Mm-hmm,
don't know what it is. They've been doing it so long, they don't realize that this can be quantified. We can
mm-hmm,
write it down and say, this is how we do it. But when you don't think about it, I mean, I think to myself about a marketing thing. You're going to, let's say, make a post to Instagram and you make your post. Okay. And you've been doing it. Now you're going to teach somebody and you say, well, this is what I do. And you say, well, okay, I'm have to try to figure out what the tone is.
mm-hmm,
Okay. What, what the colors we're going to use, what the background. I mean, these are all things that the founder just does without
mm-hmm.
even thinking. But now you have to take the time to break that down. But once
Yes.
you do, it sort of runs on its own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
And
the initial work is always getting it written down, isn't it?
yes, and I
Yeah.
think also like with a lot of people I have noticed the minute I say systems, they think of it as a software program or a software system.
Right.
But then many times I have to tell them, like when I say system, even just writing down your process in a piece of paper is documenting the system, or like creating an SOP is a system.
Right.
Yes, those software programs are systems too, but these are systems too.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even how you greet somebody on the phone. How do you
Mm-hmm,
answer the phone and answer their questions? One of the things that I like to ask people is I say, okay, you've got this business, things are going along, you have customers, all of that. I say, what's your oops policy? And they look at me with this like, what are you talking about? I
mm-hmm,
said, when we go, oops, my bad,
mm-hmm,
how do you fix it when your customer is unsatisfied with your business or what happened or
mm-hmm,
a product, right?
mm-hmm.
How do you recover from that? Do you have a process for that? And most of the time it's seat of the pants, whatever that customer, instead of
Mm-hmm.
having a process that lets you know in
Yeah.
advance what to do, because now the founder always gets called out of their back office to deal with the angry customer instead of the person who's helping them saying, this is what I can do for you.
Mm-hmm.
This is how we're going to handle this. So I mean,
Yeah.
we've all been in restaurants where something that we've ordered isn't right, and our server takes it back and deals with the chef or whoever, right?
Yeah.
We don't get angry and call the chef out and complain because something isn't right. It doesn't work that way. It can't work that way. Well, your
Mm-hmm.
business shouldn't work that way either.
True. Very true. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So those are the things I think people don't even think about sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we could probably spend an hour here talking about all the different systems that we could, but
Yeah,
that
no, so
becomes
like
a
in fact, like even as part of my coaching program, like
Mhm.
I even do have like templates or things for like reflection for the entrepreneurs in terms of like the delegation readiness. Like, are you ready to delegate? Like in your mind, are you ready to, because you're like, oh, everybody's telling me I need to get hire somebody, so I'm hiring, or do you know, is it justified for you that yes, I need to hire this person because of ABC? So like I
Mhm.
even have some of those reflection templates, and the same thing like when you um think of saying, okay, no, I should be doing it all myself, like I
Mhm.
have a reflection template that says like, what is the actual cost of doing it yourself? Are you
Mhm.
considering like ROI in terms of your finances, in terms of your
Sure.
energy, in terms of your emotions?
Mhm.
Because yeah, sometimes you may be like, oh no, I should be doing it all, but at what
Mhm.
cost?
Right. Right. Me- Do you, I remember years ago, reading something about getting more done in your job. And people always say, well, at the end of the day, make a list of the things that you need to do tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then pick the top three. Okay. Well, what
Mm-hmm.
about the other seven? Okay. If you're going to work on those top three, how's the other seven getting done? Well, you have to have someone else do those.
Yes.
Because if you're
Mm-hmm.
working on those other seven, you're never going to get the top three done, right?
Yes.
And I
Mm-hmm.
think using that kind of analogy is to say, what's the most
Mm-hmm.
important thing you could be doing right now?
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of this stuff we can figure out. Now, yeah, granted, there are things that have to be found or yeah, I mean, if we're talking about a major expense,
Yes.
talking about um, issues with employees, things like that. But day-to-day operations,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, so that's what I tell people like I work with is identify what is truly yours to do, which
mm-hmm,
nobody else can do, and it should be you doing it.
mm-hmm,
Then that is your priority. That is what, like you said, that's the top three you should be doing, not
right,
the other things. And then
mm-hmm,
you figure out what of the other things maybe can wait for you to do later, what you're
mm-hmm.
delegating, and maybe you have some things there which probably nobody should be doing.
Sure, sure. Now, it's interesting that you mentioned that you have these templates. So within your own business,
Mm-hmm.
you have a set of systems and
Mm-hmm.
how to work with your clients.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm not sure that a lot of people in our business do that.
No, and
I
I
know.
think for me, by nature, like though whether it's my business or my as an author writing stories, or whether it's my personal things, I think I am a very systems or a process driven person, because like even at home sometimes, yes, kids sometimes do complain about it, but then I'm like, this is exactly how this thing has to be done, this is ABC, these are the steps to be followed. And like and I'm very much process oriented, and then like anything I do, I have like to-do lists, and like these are my priorities to do, these are my
Mhm,
follow-up actions, these are things I should be doing but later or through somebody else.
mhm.
I'm, yeah, like I think not just in my business, in my overall life, I think in all aspects I do have some of these things.
Yeah. Um, it's funny because in our own homes, we tend to keep it all up here and
Mm-hmm.
not actually, pardon me, run it like a business. So, uh, but yeah, I mean, you tend to get more done when you can
Mm-hmm.
be focused like that, and it tends to run smoother.
Mm-hmm.
you know, because we've all seen business or been in businesses. I know I've worked in places where the my my supervisor, the boss, the owner, whatever, has to focus their entire day on one problem.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the rest of it isn't getting done if someone doesn't. And in some cases, I know myself personally, I've just picked it up and run with it because it needs to get done, whether it's done
Mm-hmm.
right or not.
Mm-hmm.
The effort's being made. There was a gentleman I worked for many years ago bought all of us, everybody in the organization, a hardcover book written by a man, I can't remember the man's name, who had been the president of SAS Airlines in Scandinavia, in Sweden, I
Okay.
think they're from.
Mm-hmm.
And in that book, he talked about how they had procedures. This is how we do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But if something came up that was not covered in the procedure, that individual had the freedom to deal with the situation in the best way possible.
Oh,
And
okay.
then
So
when it
you're
got it reported up the line, they would come up with a way to deal with that in the future because you can't anticipate everything that comes along.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
Right?
you're talking about the Moments of Truth book, I think. That's what I think it's called.
Maybe it is, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I was, in fact, and when the owner of the company gave that to everybody, he told us all to read it, and he goes, "And this is how I want this to work. If you
Mm-hmm.
have a problem, make the best decision. Think with your wallet. In other words, don't spend a lot of money if you don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
We'll overnight it if it's necessary, but will 2 day work? Think about it in that respect."
Mm-hmm.
And we all felt like, wow, I can own this now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. That I'm glad you remembered that. So you've read that book.
I I think I have read that sometime.
You've read
Yes.
that book. Yeah, I think that's what it is. I can never remember the name of that book. I'm gonna have to look it up. I think it is Moments of Truth.
Mm-hmm.
We'll look that up. I'm making a note so I can look it up. I may start recommending it to clients, say, you should read this.
Mm-hmm.
It says a lot about what's going on. So for some reason, my phone, I should have put it on silent. Sorry. But yeah, I think that is teaches us something
Mm-hmm.
that I've do you have any of the people you've worked with used virtual um assistants, virtual employees?
Yes, and like I said, so in fact, that's how I started my own business because I initially, as a consultant, was offering fractional HR and operation services myself.
Okay.
And that's how I started and then refined it to where it is today. Because my corporate experiences are all in HR and operations and executive support. That's what I've been doing in the corporate world for about 15, 16 years. And when I initially wanted to do something on the side, I
Mhm.
offered the same thing as fractional support.
Mhm.
And yeah, and yes, I do have clients and do know people who have virtual assistants, some people who have a virtual social media manager who does their social media, or some people who have like an online business manager who does the back end for their business.
Yeah. And I would argue to those people, see,
Mm-hmm.
you're delegating and you have a system,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just the start. To
Yes. Mm-hmm.
you, it's just somebody who's doing my bookkeeping.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's more than that.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah,
it
no, like
is
even yeah, even
because
a
you had to
VA, a
tell that
part-time,
person, yeah,
yeah, even a VA, a part-time, a contract person, you don't have to have like a full-time employee to say you're delegating it to somebody.
no,
All of this is still delegation. Yes.
right. And you have to explain to that person what you want and how you want it done.
Mm-hmm.
And you probably wrote it down,
Mm-hmm.
so there was be no ambiguity. So you have to, so for some people, they're already doing this and they don't even realize they're doing it and might even argue with you that they're not doing it. They
Mm-hmm.
are. They are, yes. It's very funny. It's very funny. Well, I'm gonna I'm gonna change subject here a little bit. I mean, I'm interested in hearing about this, and I think some of our viewers would, even though it's a little off the subject. Tell us a little bit about your children's book series.
Okay, so the children's book series basically started off as stories I have grown up listening from my own parents and grandparents back in India. And since my so because my kids are here, and especially my daughter, she's born here, and for me, it is like I wanted to pass on these stories, pass on the values that come from these stories to her. But if she were in India, it might have come generically as part of the system there from
Right.
living there. But then because she's here, I had to take effort to actually tell her about these things. So it was initially more bedtime stories to start with.
Mm-hmm.
And when she then wanted to read some of those stories, I said herself, or like wanted to know, oh, how does this person look? That's kind of when I started making them into books. So initially, it was a PDF with some hand drawn and some Canva drawings put
Mm-hmm.
together to create the book. And some of my friends and some of the other children's parents, when they saw it, they liked it and asked, like, where was this? Where did you get this from? Or because they
Mm-hmm.
assumed it was a PDF I had downloaded from somewhere. So that's when I told them, oh no, I made it. And then I realized that there probably is a market and people are looking for books like this. And that's when I started publishing them. So I call that series the Mystic India for Kids series. It's got about 6 books in them now. And though they're all based on Hindu mythology, I kind of talk more about the values that you learn from them, like it could be kindness or standing up for what's right kind of thing. And um, I also have like reflection questions. And in some books, I also have like a parallel story. So the actual religious story is told. Um, but there is also another parallel story where if the religious story talks about bravery, there's another story about a little kid who exhibits bravery in school or at a playground or something so that the kids can relate to it better.
Sure,
So,
sure.
and so some of my books, and they're all like also activity linked books. So they have like drawing pages in some of
Oh,
them,
wow.
and some of them have like puzzles in them.
Oh, that's really nice. And this is all stuff that you wrote yourself, correct?
Yes, yes. And um, illustrated myself also. Some of them are, so yes, some of them are digital, some of them are hand drawn.
Mm-hmm.
So this one, for example, this is a canvas painting I did at home, which basically I photographed and made it into my cover. Uh, and even when I do use some amount of AI for the illustrations, it's
hmm
more like I would hand draw something and then give AI a copy of that and say, okay, can you create something like this or create this, but with this
Right.
kind of background?
Sure.
Because what I have noticed is if you have AI do something, some graphic, almost by default, they're all the Disney style graphics. That's the only version or style of image
hmm
AI gives you generically. So
hmm
even if you want AI to help you with illustrations, I think you should give it a sample to work from, or you should give it something and then have it modify it. And then, yeah, so I do that and then also digitally modify it myself also sometimes. And some are digital drawings, some are digital plus AI, and some are hand drawn. So all my books are self illustrated and they are a combination of all of these.
Oh, that's terrific. That's terrific. And are your books available, what, on Amazon or directly
Yeah, so
from
they
you?
are available like on quite a few platforms. They're on Amazon, they're on Barnes and Noble, they're on Indigo in Canada, and yeah, and a few other different stores too.
Well, have just out of curiosity, have any of your books sold in India? do you know
Yes,
of?
I have. So in India, also I publish it through another platform in India
Uh-huh.
because the Amazon self-publishing does not have printers in India. So it doesn't
Oh,
work in
okay.
India through Amazon.
Mhm.
So yeah, I publish it through another publisher in India.
Okay. And are these stories all in English or are they
Yeah,
also in
they are all
Hindi?
in English.
All in English. Okay.
Yeah.
So being there in Canada, you haven't published any in French yet, huh?
I don't know that much of French.
Well, there's an AI for that.
Yeah, like AI can translate it to French, but then probably I should find a French editor who
There you
can
go. Yeah.
make sure that that's actually translated it right because I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always the kind of look at it and go, huh?
Yeah,
I,
because I don't know, like with AI, like how correct the translations are.
sure, sure. And I think I mean I know personally I have run into that when in my life I've talked to people from all over the place. And
Hmm.
living in Southern California, there's just a volume of people from around the world. And when I was in college, I met people from different parts of the world. And
Hmm.
sometimes they say something in English, and I have to read between the words to figure out what they're saying because they're saying the right words, but they're not in the right order, or
Hmm.
it's not quite the right word, but I know what they mean. And
Hmm.
I understand what the translation is. You'd want a French editor to look at it and make sure it's real French.
Yeah,
So,
it's actually got, and sometimes when you just translate, like you said, word for word from your own or your own language,
yeah.
in that language, it may not make sense.
It may not make sense. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, it's just so funny about that. Well, this is really cool that you're doing this, that you've taken the time to write this. And it's funny how that just happened, isn't it? You just
Hmm.
wanted to pass something on and there was nothing there. So you created your
Hmm.
own.
Yes.
Yeah. And that I think is part of what, when you think about business owners, what's not getting done that needs to be done. Where's that gap that you can fill in? And then how do you
Hmm.
monetize that? And is there enough value there? For you, it didn't matter to you in your books if there was a market because the market was your own children. And that's all that
Yes.
mattered.
And like even like I think only now recently I'm taking a little bit of effort to market my books because initially it was just for friends and family. Like even when it became a book, it beyond
Mhm.
my children, I was
Mhm.
like, okay, people ask me, so I'll just get it done for them. So it was just initially for friends and family. And
Mhm.
now I think there are a couple of places or a couple of podcasts and things where I have now spoken about my book. And for a while, uh, I kind of kept the two worlds separate. So people
Mhm.
within my business world or my employment world did not know that I was writing books. They never knew that.
Mhm.
And people here didn't know what I was doing for work. So they were like
Right.
two separate things. And I think more intentionally kind of end of last year and now into this year, I'm like, no, I'm bringing myself as a whole. I'm not going
Mhm.
okay, so this place I talk about this place I talk about this. I've stopped doing that. I'm like, okay, this is who I am.
This is who you are.
And yeah, and I kind of feel that adds more of the human element and more relatability than keeping things separate.
Sure. Sure. I would agree with you. And
Hmm.
I think like I said, it adds it adds an aspect to you when people meet you and are talking about their business and then find out that you do this. It's just like, wow, this is really cool. This individual, it changes, I think, your their perception of you as being fuller as an individual, not just this little narrow thing, but you're
Hmm.
this person. So, wow. Preeti, thank you so much. If if people want to learn more about your coaching business, how can they get in
Hmm.
touch with you?
So mostly I'm available on LinkedIn, and I can also give you my website. So it's Wonder, but the instead of the E, it's the number three dot online. And if you go into that, you can find links to two different areas, one for my business and one for my author side.
Okay, very good. All right. Um, thank you very much for being my guest today. I really do appreciate it.
Thank
Um,
you.
I see that wonder3r.online. Okay, very good. We will I'll make sure that that gets posted in the description so people can find it.
Mhm.
And we'll do that. But again, thank you so much for your time tonight. It was, or today,
Thank
this
you.
morning, rather. It's been wonderful. I do so many of these at night, my brain just shifted. Either that or maybe it's my background. I'm not sure. But anyway, thank you so much for your time today. And I wish you continued success in your business and in your authorship.
Thank you. Thank you so much, John.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.